What's shaking, everybody? My name is Ross Mandell, and I'm coming to you guys live today from Delray Beach, Florida. What a gorgeous day we have today. I'm at Scott Woolley Studios with a very smart, a very special guy. You could say he's a pioneer. Nitric oxide. You're going to learn about this molecule today. I think it's a molecule. You're going to learn about this compound today, how you increase performance. You get more from your own body. Who doesn't want to get more performance from their body? Especially you middle-aged guys, right? Help me welcome Dr. Nathan S. Bryan.
Ross, great to be with you.
Doc, so great to have you here today. By the way, you look fantastic, man.
Thanks.
51 years old. We had a little discussion before the cameras were rolling, and I almost had a panic attack when I thought you were older than me. Because you look like
that would be a great testimony.
You look like such a young man. I mean, it's unbelievable, really.
Well, you know, we got to take care of our body. Our health is our greatest asset.
Well, I want to really roll the clock back because you weren't always a doctor. You weren't always a pioneer. You were born and raised where? Where are you from?
Texas, small town Texas.
Where
just outside of Austin.
Outside of Austin?
About an hour outside of Austin.
Wow. Talk about a city that's changed over the years, huh?
Yeah, it's a completely different city than the town I grew up next to.
One of my dearest friends spoke at my wedding was in Austin all these years, and he just moved actually to Park City, Utah. So you were raised, tell us about your early life, family, all these different things.
Yeah, I was raised, my mom and dad divorced when I was like 5 years old. So came from a divorced family, mixed family, and you know, my brother and I were moving around. I think I went to 5 different grade schools by the time I was in high school.
You with your mom?
I went back and forth with my mom and then stayed with my dad, and it was
and how old
chaotic.
Was your brother older, younger?
I had a brother that's 18 months older, so a little bit older, and you know, he stayed with dad. I went with mom early on, and then we both moved in with dad, and it was just, I mean, it was the only constant in our life was change. So I think, you know, early on, I think that allowed us to be pretty adaptive, right, to new environments and, you know, making new friends. And
you had no choice, really, right?
Had no choice, no. And then, you know, in 1984, when I was 11 years old, my dad had a car accident. We were living with my dad, and it left him paralyzed from the waist down, kind of mid-back down.
God.
So my brother and I, you know, had to go to work. You know, he was self-employed, didn't have any insurance, spent 6 months in the hospital, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt from hospital bills. So my brother and I started mowing grass, going to work, and then my dad got a job at the prison system where he was a sociologist and head of classification. So he moved to a different city, and we'd already gotten comfortable in this new school and didn't want to move again because we'd had a history of moving. So my brother and I, he was a senior in high school. I was a sophomore, and we got our own apartment in this little town we went to high school in. And so for the last 3 years of my high school career, I lived by myself. I paid my own bills. I worked at a gas station, pumping gas, fixing flats.
You were like 16, right?
Like 16 years old, yeah.
My God,
I was the only
man.
kid that could sign my own report card because I didn't have
Your dad was paralyzed and he still moved? I mean, like, that's a crazy story.
Yeah. No, he was pretty self-sufficient. Obviously, he had to go to work and make a living, and, you know, he was very supportive. My brother and I wanted to stay in this one school and finish our high school there. And
did he move far away?
Yeah, probably a couple hours. Not
Still
far.
far away for kids to be left alone. Where was your mom during this time?
My mom had remarried and was living in, I think, Peoria, Illinois. So she was a long way away. But, you know, we were very independent early on. And, you know, you can imagine a 16-year-old kid living by himself in his own apartment, you know, got into a little bit of trouble. But, you know, I always made good grades, graduated the top of my class.
But, I mean, I just want to, you know, clarify this for the audience because, you know, not everybody's going to be aware. You're talking about, what, the 80s? You're talking about there was no cell phones when this happened?
Right. That's right.
No Skype. You couldn't check in with mom and dad on the computer. They don't have that kind of thing then. When you were really alone, you actually had to dial a telephone, and most of the time it was a rotary phone, right?
That's exactly right, yeah.
And people don't understand the convenience today. That
it was a different time.
I mean, we're going to be, this podcast, I've got people watching Mumbai and in Sydney, Australia, have a huge fight. This is crazy. So you're two little young guys. If you don't, I know what happened to you, and we're going to get to that. Yeah. What happened to your brother?
My older brother graduated high school, became a restaurateur.
Nice.
Worked for a lot of restaurants, was a proprietor at Outback Steakhouse, was bought out of that. Then he went to work for another kind of a local outfit in Texas and today he's one of the largest restaurateurs in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He owns 5 or 6 restaurants, and he's killing it.
Wow. Would anybody know the names of these restaurants? I mean,
Certainly in the DFW,
Right.
Marty B's
Okay.
is the main restaurant concept. He's got a steakhouse called 1845.
cool. These are cool names.
He's got a kind of a Mediterranean type wood oven pizza place.
I love it. You guys still close, so you speak? Or?
Oh no, yeah, we're very close. Obviously, we grew up, we depended on each other, and and he's got an event center. He's building out for weddings and venues, and he's got a coffee shop, Marty B's Coffee Shop, an ice cream shop. He's got Cactus Canyon, which is a high-end Tex-Mex place. So,
And you're this brilliant, pioneering medical doctor. So, it's funny because they say that hard times make strong people.
no doubt, I think that when you look back, for me, it was. It was a different time then, right? So I was in, I think, 7th grade. My brother was in maybe 9th grade. He was a freshman, or maybe 6th and 8th. But back then, because my dad was in the hospital and we didn't have any money, we were on the free lunch program. We were on welfare. And so at that time, the teachers before lunch would come in and give you this little yellow card for the free lunch. Kids back then, kids can be cruel, and they go, "Oh,
Kids can be very cruel.
This kid's poor. He's on welfare. The free lunch program, and
You didn't have a lot of nice clothes, let's face it.
No, and I think that I think it probably affected my brother more than me. He's a little bit older, more impressionable age, but I think that made us hungry, extremely hungry, and didn't want to
you
ever
could have ended
experience
up drug addicts, crackheads,
Yeah.
thieves, robbers, and I was in the prison system for 9 years, and I had a great upbringing. And I met guys that had your sort of upbringing, and they used that as an excuse their whole lives.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, anybody can make excuses, but for us, we use it as fuel. We were hungry, and we
You were
wanted to-
literally hungry. You probably
Yeah, we
never
were-
lots to eat either. You know what I mean?
No, that's right.
Your brother
Yeah,
learned how to
literally.
cook and prepare food, right? Because he had to take care of you.
Yeah. We learned to cook when Dad first got injured, and because we had to cook,
You had to
provide
cook.
for the family. So, no, I think those were certainly the impressionable times, and I think critical times in our life that I think probably directed our path, and gave us an insatiable hunger for just drive, initiative, and success.
I wonder if it's your DNA or it's just it'd be an interesting discussion, but that's not for today. So that is completely unexpected.
Yeah.
I just by seeing who you are today and watching your social media, et cetera, Googling, and my team did some research. I thought you had a privileged upbringing. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I think it was anything but privileged.
Unbelievable.
But I look back, I wouldn't change a thing because
You wouldn't
it
be
was-
here today.
Yeah, all of those events and all those circumstances, I think, lead us to where we are today. Similar to you.
Underprivileged.
anything.
You were privileged, but underprivileged. Really.
Yeah, look, we grew up in a very supportive community, small towns, rural communities in Texas. People look out for one another.
People knew each other.
People knew-
Exactly right.
Yeah, hey, look, you were held accountable. There was no anonymity in these small towns. People
Right.
people knew what we did sometimes before.
I understand.
Right.
I so get
So you
it.
had to keep a clean nose. And my dad,
Well,
my
you didn't
mom,
have to. You see, that's how you are. But you didn't have to. And how the hell you became this doctor? I'm dying to get to this part of the story because, medical school, university. This is a huge undertaking.
Yeah, no,
It's not an
big
easy
commitment.
thing. I hear kids whining about it. They come from families with millionaires, with money's not an issue, and they have cars and they have everything. You know what I'm saying? And you had none of these things. So we're going to get to. I can't understand how. You threw me for a loop, Doc. One of the great things about podcasting is I get to meet all kinds of fantastic people.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you learn that most fantastic people did not have it easy. They overcame. And, because of my life experience, unfortunately, I was exposed to thousands and thousands of people that used the difficult times in their early life as an excuse to act out in a really in a criminal matter. Okay, so now you're with your brother. He, I guess, graduates.
Yeah, he
right?
graduated high school. As I spent my junior and senior year in this same little garage apartment, living alone.
You're living alone.
Yeah.
It's almost illegal today. I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know if they would allow you to do that today as a young kid, 15, 16, to live by yourself.
Yeah, the counselors at school and everybody in the school knew my situation. Were very supportive. And then the people I work for, the people that they rented out their garage apartment to me, and They were my employers at the service station, at the gas station.
So you worked at a gas station.
Yeah, I'd get out of school, and from 4 to 8, I would work in a full-service gas station, fixing flats, pumping gas, whatever.
John over there,
Yeah.
my brilliant director and editor, etc. He was just telling me stories about working at a gas station when he grew up.
Yeah, I was making, I think when I started making $4.75 an hour. By the time I graduated, I was making $5.25 an hour. And then on the weekends, I had what's called a pumping job. I would actually go and gauge oil wells. And I had a route, I think it was like 27 oil wells.
Wow.
So what that means, you got to go, and I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd be finished running my wells and gauging my wells by noon, and then I'd go to work at the gas station from noon till 8 o'clock.
And you still graduated top of your class.
That's right.
How do you explain that?
Discipline. I mean, obviously, I'm God gifted me blessed me with a gift. So, you
have an aptitude. I mean,
if I read something and write something, I remember it, right? So, I mean, I tested well. I always did well in school, and I didn't have to study that much. So that allowed me the time freedom to go and actually work and make a living. And after 8 o'clock, me and the buddies would
make a living. You're 17 friggin' years old, bro. I mean, you're talking about like you're a fucking old man. You were a young man. I was smoking weed and getting in all kinds of trouble and hanging out with women, and you were making a living.
I was making a living.
Cooking your own food, paying for your own clothes.
That's right.
And you're not moaning about it, not whining about it. Is Mom still in Illinois?
No, Mom actually lives near me now, probably 20 minutes from where I live. My dad lives probably 25
Where do you live?
minutes. I live in between Rockdale and Caldwell. So I'm on 800 acres out in the middle of nowhere. So
in Illinois?
No, in Texas.
Oh, you're still in Texas?
Yes,
I didn't know.
In between Austin and College Station. But I got an 800-acre cattle ranch and ride horses and team rope, and we live a very isolated life, and out in the
married?
country. Yeah, married, got a couple kids.
How many kids?
We have 2 boys living. Lincoln's 17, Conley's 14. Our oldest, Grant, died in 2018.
I'm sorry about that. And your children have sort of lived a privileged life. Relatively speaking.
So, we've had some success. Grant, early on, the oldest, unfortunately, didn't see the best of times, right? Because we struggled, when you're starting out in science and medicine and
in any business.
Business, yeah. But yeah, the younger boys, Lincoln and Conley, they're experiencing, what I would call a pretty privileged life, and that's my challenge.
An 800-acre ranch versus your little garage apartment.
That's right. Come a long way.
I'm guessing that they don't cook their own food all the time and all these different kind of things.
No, they do. I mean, I make them do that. They do their own laundry. They want to eat something, then they got to cook their own.
They fire up the $5,000 grill.
No, so my challenge is I want my kids to be hungry. I don't want them to
struggle.
I don't want them to experience kind of the upbringing I had. Right. But I want them to be hungry, to be self-sufficient, not be entitled, and to learn to do things on their own and not rely on me to take care of them.
I understand.
That's a challenge. You want to provide for them, but you also
just
want them
like
to be
hard
hungry.
times create strong people. Strong people create good times, and good times create weak people.
That's a cycle.
It's the endless cycle of mankind. I'm going to take a stab here.
Yeah.
It's just a shot. Your dad basically crippled, right? Paralyzed. 2 young boys, hospitals, doctors, nurses, PAs, doctors, pharmacy. Is that one of the reasons that spurred you to go into medicine?
Yeah, look, I witnessed the standard of care in medicine fail my dad. My dad's still living today. He's 70. He's born in 48. So what does that make him? 70? He'll be 77. Been in a wheelchair for
79.
more than 70. Yeah, been in a wheelchair for more than 40 years, more than half his life. And I just saw that medicine failed him. Chronic urinary tract infections, chronic decubitus ulcers, and non-healing wounds that we get infected and septic and almost kill him. And I go, look, there's got to be a better way. So that was an impetus that had an influence on me going into, and even in high school, I was good in science, good in math. My counselor said you should go be an engineer. And being kind of a naive, kind of a country kid, I didn't even know what that meant. So I went to the University of Texas, enrolled in civil engineering, and took a couple engineering classes, and met with my counselor. And they go, "What do civil engineers do?" They go, "Well, they build things, build buildings and bridges and roads, and I go, I'm not interested in that. I don't know, what am I signing up for? So then I went into biochemistry in the College of Natural Science at University of Texas.
It's only the hardest major, biochemistry, organic chemistry. These are tough.
No, it was at that time, I think probably still is one of the most difficult
Very
degree
difficult.
programs, especially at UT. University of Texas is a premier institution.
Great school, great university, great medical, whole thing. They say some of the best medicine comes out of Texas. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what DeBakey, I think, the heart transplant, all those guys. I mean,
Denton Cooley, I knew those guys and worked with them at Texas Heart Institute.
I was in the stock market, and I was at one point managing the largest life science investment bank in the world. And so I got to meet the Lasker Award winners and, the Nobel Prize for Chemistry and Nobel Prize winners, and they were listening to me. I mean, you got to be kidding me, right? I mean, I had a good run,
Yeah.
I was valuable. But so what I'm intrigued about is you're this poor kid, you're right around Austin, so the University of Texas makes sense. But how did you afford school? I mean, full scholarships, loans. I mean,
No, I had a few scholarships out of high school that probably got me through a year and a half of tuition fees, and then I took out loans. It's like and I worked. I was taking 15 hours of college credits, and I was waiting bussing tables at Outback Steakhouse. So I'd take classes in the morning, work in the afternoons and evenings, and get off work at 10, 11 o'clock at night. That time we'd go out and drink and hang out, get to bed at 2, get up at 8 for my classes, and do that all over and over again.
I mean, what a beast you are. You're a beast, bro. I mean, I love this. And I'm guessing you did pretty good in school.
I did. College was very difficult, especially in the biochemistry program, and I needed to devote time to studies.
Well, now you're competing against, not high school, you're competing against...
No, that's right. You're
animals.
Completely different level.
Animals.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a doctor,
But no, I did okay at University of Texas, but I wasn't afforded the time freedom that I needed.
Of course.
Because I'm working. I got married early on. And,
did you?
Yeah, when I was 20 years old.
Well, listen, at least you limited the hunt for, company.
Yeah, but no, that ended up being, I guess a blessing in disguise. I learned a lot from it, but the marriage didn't last, and, I graduated, and we divorced shortly thereafter.
Okay, that happens. I mean, but so you knew at some point you were going to go to medical school.
Well, here was once I got a taste of undergraduate research. So in the biochemistry department, I did undergraduate research for Professor John Robertus, who was a protein chemist, X-ray crystallographer, and he let me come in the labs after classes and kind of play around and understand how do you design experiments, how do you pose an important biological question, then how do you design experiments to get an answer.
I love that.
And for me, the intellectual freedom with that is, that's what I think I fell in love with, because I can ask any question in science or medicine and design a series of experiments and test it and get an answer.
Did I support it or deny it?
And
right?
I think really innovative discoveries are made when you get the answer you don't expect. And it's being able to take that and observation and kind of rationalize, okay, what does this mean? We didn't anticipate this, but what does it mean? And so data always give you information, and so that information, how do you translate that into problem-solving skills to solve a major problem in science and medicine. So when I had a degree in biochemistry from University of Texas, I thought I was set, right? And then you go out and you test the job market. You go, bachelor's degree in
Doesn't work
biochemistry.
like that, unfortunately, right?
My first job, I was making, I think, $21,000 a year working at Phenol and Chemical as an analytical chemist, quality control guy, and I hated
I
it.
made more money bussing tables and getting tips.
Yeah, no, I did. I was making more money part-time working at a restaurant.
Exactly right.
But no, then I knew that I had to do something different. I had to either go further my education, and then, there was a time when I got divorced that I was a little bit, lost. I spent probably 2 to 3 years trying to figure. I was heartbroken. She left me. I didn't leave her, and it's kind of this poor, pitiful me. And I was going around trying to figure out what the shit am I going to do with my life. And then I moved to Shreveport, Louisiana, where my mom was living at the time. She owned a funeral home, so I was helping embalm bodies and doing the funeral stuff. And LSU School of Medicine was there.
Say that again.
LSU School of Medicine.
LSU. Okay.
And so I applied there, and got accepted into the molecular and cellular physiology program, PhD program at LSU School of Medicine. So
not medical school, but PhD school.
I was in it was a PhD program in the medical school,
Right.
within the medical school. So everything we were doing, and it was there that I got introduced to this science of nitric oxide. I think it's quite ironic because when I was taking inorganic chemistry and even physical chemistry and all these upper level chemistry courses, I thought the last thing I want to do is deal with nitrogen-based chemistry.
Why is that? Why would you say that? The last.
Well, nitrogen's pretty reactive, right?
Right.
You got 5 valence electrons, you got 8 different oxidation states. So there's a lot of chemistry that goes on within nitrogen-based chemistry. It's very complex.
Okay.
And then here I am, I get introduced to this whole science of nitric oxide, and I find now for the next 30 years I'm dealing in nitrogen-based chemistry.
Okay.
But that was, a Nobel Prize had just been awarded for the discovery of nitric oxide, and
When was that?
that was 1998.
Oh my! So it's not that long ago.
Yeah, it was 27 years ago.
Wow! And what did that Nobel Prize want to do that he earned such a huge?
Well, there were 3 of them, and they each had kind of their own unique discoveries. So in 1977, Fred Murad, had made a discovery that drugs like nitroglycerin for heart disease,
Right.
for angina, these drugs have been used for hundreds of years, right, prior to that. And
When I was growing up, if a guy had like a little heart pain, they would give him a little towel under his tongue. It was like
sublingual
nitroglycerin. Yeah.
So physicians used those drugs because it was very effective at dilating the coronary arteries and relieving the ischemic pain known as angina. But nobody knew how they worked, mechanistically how they worked. So it was Fred who discovered that these drugs are metabolized into nitric oxide gas, which then activated a second messenger system, dilated blood vessels, and he basically elucidated that mechanism.
And,
So,
and
1977.
And acts quick, right? It's quick
Very
acting.
quick, yeah, very quick. So that was 1977. In 1980, another important discovery was made by Robert Furchgott. And he discovered that the blood vessels, the endothelial cells that line all blood vessels throughout the body, when activated, can produce a substance that leads to blood vessel relaxation. So it dilates the blood vessels. And he called this endothelium-derived relaxing factor.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, but it's derived from the endothelium,
Right.
and it relaxes the blood vessels, but it's an unknown factor. So that was EDR.
Now, let me ask you, it relaxes the blood vessels,
Yeah.
but that doesn't necessarily mean it dilates them. I mean, it
Well,
should, but doesn't necessarily, right?
Well, when we talk about relaxation, it's smooth muscle relaxation. So when muscle
it's not relaxed, it's
constricts,
tight. Right, I
it
got it.
contracts, right? When smooth muscle relaxes, it dilates.
I'm just a civilian, doc.
Yeah, no, but I think this is a very important concept.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. So this EDRF was then, I think, one of the most important discoveries in vascular biology. So then the question was, what is EDRF? And then 7 years later, Lou Ignarro discovered that EDRF is nitric oxide. So those 3, Lou Ignarro, Bob Furchgott, and Fred Murad, shared the Nobel Prize.
And came to essentially the same answer.
Yeah, so they
Nitric
basically
oxide.
put the pieces of the puzzle together that said if you stimulate endogenous nitric oxide production or you give an exogenous nitric oxide drug, it dilates the blood vessel, and the Nobel Prize was awarded for the discovery of nitric oxide as a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system.
Now,
That opened up a whole new field.
For us pedestrians in the world, if you expand or relax these blood vessels, right, blood carries oxygen and other nutrients,
Absolutely.
and that powers you to a better way, which is why athletes and bodybuilders take all these nitric oxide, stimulants, right, before they work out, because you get a crazy pump. I mean, you get a crazy pump.
That's right.
Right? But I could use some nitric oxide in other parts of my body.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion right now, but
No, I think
I'm
that's
looking forward to doing some field testing.
the vascular biology is you have to be able to dilate blood vessels and increase blood flow upon demand. Right? So we've got a finite amount of blood pumping in our body at any given time. And if you can't make nitric oxide, your blood vessels become chronically constricted. So now you've got that same volume of blood pumping through smaller vessels, and physics tells us that your blood pressure goes up.
Same thing if you get plaque in your arteries, right?
Plaque in it's constricted, it's obstructive.
I just had a CT exam, and my doctor called me up, and he was concerned about the score, just so you know. Now he's sending me for a stress test,
Yeah.
because I have some plaque buildup. He doesn't want to tell me everything. He just gave me a statin. All of a sudden, I got a statin, I got baby aspirin, and I'm going for a stress test. And I got to go see the cardiologist.
Well, it sounds like you need a new cardiologist.
Well, no, I haven't seen the cardiologist.
Well,
This is my general doctor.
Well, then you need a new general doctor.
Yeah.
Because he's not addressing the underlying problem.
Right.
But no, so the whole point is if you can dilate blood vessels, then if you can make nitric oxide, you can dilate blood vessels. right? So if you want to have sex, you got to dilate the blood vessels of the sex organs. That occurs through nitric oxide. If you want to exercise, and you got to increase the blood vessels of the coronary arteries or dilate the blood vessels of the coronaries.
Are there products you could take like daily, like a vitamin, like that, just a nitric oxide tablet? Or is that bullshit they sell, in all these stores?
I mean, most of it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Since the late 90s, there have been products on the market. But that's kind of been my kind of claim to fame, is I've made a solid dose form of nitric oxide gas.
But
so today there is a way we can deliver nitric oxide safely.
You ingest it, and it's something you take daily. You take on, like, when you want to have sex, you want to work out.
Well, both. I mean, so you got to remember, nitric oxide's a gas,
right?
So it's not a capsule you can swallow. It's not a pill. So we have to make it, right? So if your body can't make nitric oxide, then
You're
we
in
do
trouble.
it for you. That's what my technology does. So the guys that won the Nobel Prize were awarded the Nobel Prize because they discovered that nitric oxide is a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system. So that's an important
signaling
molecule. So that was an important discovery. But then, kind of the holy grail, the race for the holy grail, has been, how do you safely deliver nitric oxide gas to humans in an outpatient setting? And Lou Ignarro, when I met him in 1999, just after he'd won the Nobel Prize, told me over dinner, he goes, Nathan, if you can figure out how to produce nitric oxide and develop safe and effective nitric oxide therapeutics, you'll change the world, and you'll change the landscape of medicine. So that stuck with me all those years. And then during my PhD, I finished my PhD in I think 2 years or 2.5 years, and then I went and trained in Boston at Boston Medical Center. But all I did was try to figure out, how does the human body make nitric oxide, what goes wrong in people that can't make it, and how do we fix it? That's been my guiding principles for the past 25 years.
Wow. What was your thesis on in your PhD?
It was on relevant nitric oxide metabolites. So when nitric oxide's produced, it's gone in less than a second, right? So the question was, where does it go? What does it become?
Right.
And what do those metabolites do? So we created a fingerprint of NO-biology in different disease states. So we figure out, like in diabetes or heart disease or autoimmune disease or cardiovascular disease, what happens to nitric oxide in its production and its metabolism.
You figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. And, PhD programs are usually 4 to 6 years, and I figured it out in less than 2 years. And I published, 2 or 3 first author papers and finished my PhD in less than 2.5 years, and then went on to Boston.
So you mean a PhD is not 2 years, you're done? You have to prove something or accomplish something.
No, you
specific?
take 2 years of coursework, didactic coursework with the medical students, and then when they go off and do their clinical rotations, we go off and do research, and then have a thesis committee.
Produce a paper, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to do experiments, we got to solve problems, and we've got to write papers and get a first author paper published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, and then your committee, you have to pass a written and a verbal kind of thesis and dissertation, and then they allow you to get your diploma.
And then when you go to your first hotel, you can sign in as Doctor Nathan, right? That's
I guess that really wasn't that important at that time. I was just excited to get out and start making a living, because I was 30 years old.
You owed like $200,000.
Yeah, a couple $100,000 in debt from
How
undergraduate.
crazy! All that.
And then my brother, he's laughing at me because he dropped out of college, and he's
Right.
making, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a 27-year-old restaurateur. And here I'm a broke-ass 30-year-old
You're
career
not
student.
just broke, yo.
In debt.
They would have sent you to debtor's prison in England, years ago.
Yeah.
I mean? They don't have that anymore. But
It was tough going. I mean, then you get out, you're making,
Bupkis.
$25,000 as a fellow, postdoc fellow, and then, my first faculty position, I think I made, $60,000, $80,000 a year.
So you get your PhD now.
Yeah.
You're a doc, and where do you park yourself? Where do you go? Did you leave LSU?
I left LSU and I went to Boston, Boston Medical Center.
Because you did your.
Yeah, so I did my training in Boston under in the Department of Medicine. It was called the Whitaker Cardiovascular Institute, which was really directed toward trying to develop novel therapies for vascular disease. There was a strong nitric oxide group up there. Joe Lascalzo, who's now chair of medicine at Harvard Medical School, but he was chair of medicine at Boston.
Harvard? I never heard of it.
Never heard of Harvard?
I never heard of Harvard.
Yeah, it's one of these little rinky-dink Ivy League schools up in the Northeast.
Some fly-by-night spot
Yeah.
with a $50 billion endowment fund.
Yeah.
And now you're working as a professor, right? You're on the faculty.
Yeah, I was what's called a postdoctoral fellow. I had a Kirstein fellowship, so it was a paid endowed fellowship.
But not big money yet. No.
No, I mean, look, in Boston, I mean, you talk about culture shock, a small town Texas country boy going to the Northeast.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
cost of living up there, of 600 square foot studio was like $2,000 a month, which is more. Then you had to pay an extra $300 to park on the street.
Right, right.
So I had to move out to Metro West, like, an hour outside, and take the train in every day and drop me off.
After all that schooling, all these brilliant, findings, and that's what they reward you. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I'd take the train in, the TN, get up at 5 o'clock, take the train in, drop me off at Back Bay, walk a mile in the snow and the wind and the rain.
It's so
to Boston
cold
Medical
up there in
Center,
the
so
winter.
cold. Take the 7 o'clock train home, get home at 9 o'clock, repeat that for 2 years.
For nothing. $1,500 a week.
Yeah, no, but we were very productive. It was publishing, 8 or 10 papers a year, making discoveries. And then I realized...
You're accomplishing a lot in your field.
Absolutely.
But still, they're not paying you, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because I was stockbroking, and I'm making $1 million plus a year, and I'm meeting these men that are so brilliant, so learned, so accomplished, and they're poor.
That's right.
I mean, I was paying for dinner.
Look, I think people get into, certainly science, because you don't make a lot of money in basic science. And, today you don't even make a lot of money as physicians and practitioners.
It's so pathetic. It's pathetic.
It is, and you spend, at least 8, sometimes 12 years in advanced training to make a living. I mean, you do it because you want to leave a legacy and you want to make people's lives better and you want to make important discoveries that advance science and medicine and leave a lasting legacy on mankind. So I think that's the motivation. But then, once I spent a couple of years at Boston, I started applying, and my wife's mom was sick with pancreatic cancer, and she was in the hospital at the Texas Medical Center. So I went back, applied for a job with Fred Murad, had won the Nobel Prize, and Kristen's mom was really sick and actually terminal. So I go, look, we need to move back. And so Fred hired me. We moved. Kristen's mom actually passed away, and then we just started a new life back in Texas, which was, that's home for us. So then I had my first independent research lab under Fred Murad, who won the Nobel Prize. So again, very productive environment. And we had one goal, was to understand the mechanism of disease to the extent that we could fix it.
Which disease? Cardiovascular?
I was interested in specifically cardiovascular disease and everything related to cardiovascular, whether it's erectile dysfunction, whether it's mild cognitive impairment, dementia, Alzheimer's, diabetes. So when they gave me $500,000 in startup funds to go and set up my lab, buy equipment, and I spent that money to buy the equipment. I didn't have any money left to hire anybody, so it was me in the lab, 14 hours a day, doing experiments, thinking, getting data, filing invention disclosures with the university. And then the university started filing patents, and several years later, patents started being issued. And today, I've got several dozen issued patents through the University of Texas.
With the university, correct? How does that work?
Yeah, because when you're employed with the university, and I'll never forget this. When you get the orientation, new faculty orientation, there was a guy's name was Bruce Butler. He was head of technology management. He goes, look, if you make any discoveries, do not tell a soul.
Right.
Because the first thing you want to do is go yell from the rooftop.
Scream,
Eureka,
yeah,
Eureka.
look what I did, right.
Because we have to submit an invention disclosure, and to keep it confidential, and let us file a patent before anybody knows. Because if you make a public disclosure, it's no longer patentable.
Correct.
So that resonated with me. So every time I would think, I go, I got it. I'd write an invention disclosure. I'd call them over. They'd come to the conference room. I'd tell them what I'm doing. They go, we really don't think that's important. And I go, what? You don't see this? I see it clear as day.
Right.
They'd give me feedback, go, okay, go do this. And so we started filing patents, and I think today, out of 81 portfolio companies, well, this was several years ago, I don't know the numbers here.
Right.
But out of 81 portfolio companies at UT Medical School in Houston, my patents were responsible for about 40% of their annual revenue.
It's some big money.
Yeah, no, the technology has been...
How do you get paid from that?
Well, every university is different.
Right.
But the University of Texas, thankfully, gives their inventors 50% of the money that comes in.
They give up 50%.
50%.
So it's a real partnership.
It is a real partnership.
Not all universities are like that.
No, most of them I find is about a third. They give their
third,
inventors
even,
a third.
I've heard less, but that's really great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, and I'm sure the world doesn't know that. So your name is on the patent with the university?
No, I'm the inventor on the patents, and then I assign the ownership to those patents to the university. And then we have to go back and then license my patents from the university.
I understand.
So, but look, I didn't have the money or the resources, so I utilized university resources, and they gave me the opportunity to
To give up half is a privilege. I mean, I know guys who get 80%, 85% by the time they end up 5%, after all the licensing, et cetera, and so forth.
Yeah, no, it's and there's some accounting that comes out of that. Prosecution of patents, any legal fees they deduct, and then for me it was
still it's real. It can become real money if it's meaningful developments.
No, it's been millions and millions of dollars over the
Correct.
past 15 years, and
we call tens of millions, really, right?
Yeah, in Texas we call that mailbox money. You just go to the mailbox and pick it up.
On Wall Street, we call it "fuck you" money.
That's right. That too. It can get to that. Yeah.
Yep, I love it.
But no, I think now it's been a true blessing because it's afforded me income and a lifestyle that you never imagined.
You're 51 years old. You've had quite a journey. We've really covered it. I'm so excited by it's really. I did not expect to hear this kind of story. I'm going to be candid with you. When did you start making money? When did money start to really, last 10 years?
Yeah, the last 10 years. I mean, I started my first company in 2009.
Okay.
Because in academia and science and medicine, they don't teach you how to be an entrepreneur.
No.
And so that most doctors, most scientists are very poor entrepreneurs and business people.
It's almost the opposite. The practice in academia is the exact opposite from the commercial world, I would say.
No, that's right. The typical academic model for patents is you find an existing company, a big company, and you'd license it.
Right.
And you just sit back and collect royalties.
Correct.
Well, I was way ahead of my time. I mean, I'd created a way to make nitric oxide gas, the first solid dose form of nitric oxide gas.
In the lab, you made it.
In the lab and conceptually, so
Right.
I could do it. So then we had to productize it. We had to manufacture
Correct.
it. And so there was nobody interested in that. So, for a couple of years, I'm going back to the Office of Technology Management. I was broke, a couple months behind on the mortgage, and I go, shit, we're on a sinking ship here.
I get
and
it.
I thought I'd made these important discoveries that I was convinced
And you did.
would change the world.
But it takes the world a minute to figure
And
it
then
out.
I was like, well, shit, if this is going to be, I'm going to have to do this. And so I went out, and I started trying to find manufacturers, investors, and people to
love
support
it.
me. So I did it. Started my first company in 2009. A couple years later,
What was the company?
the very first company was called Neogenis Labs. Actually, I take that back. The very first company I started was called Nitriceuticals.
I love that name.
Nitriceuticals.
Sexy name.
And so I was going out raising money, trying to get a license from UT, and then, fast forward, there's been several companies now that I've started. But, to answer your question, probably 2 to 3 years into the commercialization of the technology, I was making more from patent royalties than they were paying me as a full-time professor of molecular medicine.
Of course. Of course. I get it.
And so now I kind of had a little bit of posture, right? And here was my
Right.
frustration.
I love that.
Because you have what's called conflicts of interest.
Really? I wouldn't know.
So there's conflict. So when you're employed by a state institution, right, you're basically a government employee. I'm employed by the University of Texas. And if I'm making money on discoveries that I've made while employed at the University of Texas, then that's a conflict of interest, right? So you have to manage it. You have to manage your conflict of interest. So the conflict is if a reporter comes to you and they go, oh, Dr. Bryan, you're employed by the University of Texas and you're making money and using university resources to put money in your own pocket.
Exactly.
That's a conflict. So what they do is they hire what's called they assemble a conflict of interest management team.
Oy vey.
So now you've got this team of your peers that want to tell you what, and I've never been good at people telling me what to do. I think that's right. I've been
get it.
independent since I was 15 years old.
I get it.
So this notion that people want to tell me how to run my lab
Right.
and design experiments and manage a conflict of interest was really a pain in my ass. And, every quarter we'd meet and they go, well, you can't do this, you can't do this. And finally I'd had enough. And I go, tell me how you manage your conflict of interest. And they go, oh, I don't have a conflict of interest.
Of course not.
Tell me how you manage your conflict
I
of
don't
interest.
have one.
I don't have a conflict.
The problem
And the
is
vice
when you
president-
acknowledge that you have a conflict.
No, then the executive vice president who chairs up this committee, I go, you've assembled a people to manage my conflict of interest who have never had a conflict of interest.
Correct. Or never acknowledge one. They might have one, but they don't tell anybody.
How can you do something that you've never even done before? And I go,
Right.
Here's the deal. These people have been on faculty for 20, 30, 40 years, and they've never created anything of value.
Correct.
And they want to manage me?
Correct.
So I go, you get rid of these people.
Welcome to the world of regulation.
Yeah. So then that kind of, again, I could posture because I didn't need the job anymore. And I told the president of the university, I go, look, when it's not fun for me to come to work anymore, I'm not going to come to work anymore. He goes, calm down, I'll handle it. So then they assembled this other conflict of interest management team with people who actually manage conflicts of interest.
Right.
But, they made it so difficult for me to go in and do my job and innovate and continue to make discoveries that, in 2015, I resigned.
Well, you didn't really need them for a while, I hate to say it, right? You had some money coming in.
No, I didn't. I was making millions of dollars.
And you had success.
Had success, yeah.
But you're loyal, and you didn't understand, I think, your potential for freedom.
No,
Because once you make that break, you're like, what the hell? Why didn't I do this 4 years ago? You know what I mean? Like,
No, that's what people say in academia. But I love the academic environment.
I understand.
I love the feeling of discovery. I love the complete intellectual freedom, training people, teaching medical students, MD, PhD students. I missed that. But when everybody told me, if you leave academia, you'll never come back. And then I had some collaborations at Baylor College of Medicine. They gave me an honorary adjunct position.
Wow.
So again, no salary, but they gave me an office, access to all the resources they had, so
Correct.
I could continue the basic science research
Without the potential conflict.
with no conflict of interest. They didn't pay me. I had no responsibility.
I get it.
I did that for probably 4 to 5 years, and then during COVID, they were trying to force vaccination, and I go, no, thank you. I've had all the fun I could stand. So
They were trying to force vaccination.
absolutely, and I knew early on that I wasn't getting that shot.
Tell me why. Because I respect you. At this point, I'm listening to you very carefully.
No, early on during COVID, we knew this was a respiratory virus just like the influenza. And, mRNA technology had been tried decades before, and it had failed. In fact, the only kid that they treated this mRNA technology with died.
Failed badly.
Failed badly, yeah. Death, that's probably the worst outcome.
Well, he suffered and he died.
Yeah. So early on, in the previous Trump administration, we had some people on the inside that reached out to us and go, "Can you help us develop an early therapeutic?" And I'd had a drug company then called Nitric Oxide Innovations. Now it's called Bryan Therapeutics. But we were developing. When they reached out to me, we were fast tracked, and we knew that people that were getting sick and dying from COVID were the people who could not make nitric oxide. Right, the elderly, the people with high blood pressure,
Correct.
diabetes, previous heart attack, kidney disease. So we developed a nitric oxide-based therapy, an early therapy, because we got to remember, in May of 2020, the ERs were being overwhelmed. Right? People's waiting outside.
The bodies
people
they
dying,
had in the parking lots outside hospitals.
So the initiative was, how do we develop an early therapy to keep people out of the hospital? And so they reached out to me. We filed an IND, which is an investigational drug application with the FDA, in June of 2020. July 2020, it was approved by the FDA. We mobilized global resources through Patheon Thermo Fisher. We had drug manufactured by September. We had the IRB, the Institutional Review Board, where we could treat patients, approved in October, November, and we were treating patients in December. What typically takes 6-7 years, we did in 6 months.
It cost $100 million. I mean,
Yeah. And so we started treating patients, and we would take patients that had early COVID, 72 hours of diagnosis, 72 hours of onset of symptoms, and would treat them with our lozenge. And blood oxygen saturation got better, symptoms resolved. And then after 100 patients, we already had a statistically significant difference between the control group and the placebo group. And so we went to the FDA. It was a new administration then.
Right.
And we were DOA because they were hell-bent on getting forced vaccinations. And if they'd approved our drug, then we had our early treatment, and there would have been no need for emergency use authorization.
They had to deal with the pharma companies. Everybody was getting paid off.
Everybody was getting hundreds of billions.
And
of
they're
dollars.
still getting paid off, and they've been getting paid off for 40 years.
Yeah, so I kept an eye on the so-called vaccines and Operation Warp Speed and all that, and I knew that this was
A scam.
It was a scam.
Just a money grab.
And then the
They
mask
fucking
and the
killed
6
people.
months isolation. I go, this shit. And I started blogging about it early on.
Did you?
And
They could cancel you. They could ruin your life.
I got called into the dean's office at Baylor College of Medicine saying, "Look, you can't put this out there."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
So then I knew
Right.
this was
Giant scam.
I recommended all my friends, my family, everybody, do not get the vaccine.
I wish I knew you then. They forced me. I was in prison at the time in the federal detention center in Miami, and they forced me to get the Johnson & Johnson shot. And
Well, if you had to pick your poison, that would
Really?
probably be the one. The Pfizer and the Moderna were
2 days after
extremely
I got
deadly.
it was on national television. They took it off the market. it was causing blood clots and people were dying and all these different things. And I'm a high risk for that. You know, my father died of a heart attack at 48. I've had high blood pressure. I've had high cholesterol, all these different things.
Well, it was a moving target, right? They say, well, you take this because it prevents transmission and it prevents symptomology. And then, well, it doesn't actually prevent transmission. It doesn't improve illness. It doesn't improve hospitalization.
It was all horseshit. And you know who refused to take it? The cops. The guys at the BOP that were forcing us to take it were refusing to take it, and they were then getting laid off.
Yeah, no. Look, it's I think what happened was criminal.
It's criminal.
You know, and I know a lot of physician colleagues who were forced to take it, or they'd lose their admitting privileges and duties, and you know, some of them took it and they're dead. They died. 40-something-year-old, great health, and get these turbo cancers, pancreatic cancers, heart attack, stroke, and they're dead.
We haven't even really seen all the damage yet, have we?
No.
It's coming. It's going to be around. I have now numbness in my hands. Never had before. No doctor can explain it.
Yeah.
I've been to every ologist that there is.
Well, it's explainable because the spike protein binds to the ACE2 receptors, and then it causes vascular inflammation, decreased blood flow, and the neuropathy. Your sensory and motor neurons aren't getting the microvascular around them, is compromised.
It's crazy. Nobody can tell me. I have these.
So what nitric oxide does, number one, it dilates the blood vessels, but it also downregulates the ACE2 receptor. So now there's no target for the spike protein to bind to. So to mitigate the effects of long COVID or the shot, you've got to titrate up your nitric oxide levels, and that's what we do.
And how do I do that?
Well, we do this through a nitric oxide, what's called an orally disintegrating tablet. Right. So I made this ODT, we call it. You put it in your mouth. It dissolves over 5 to 6 minutes because I want to release a certain amount of nitric oxide over a certain period of time.
I love it. Like time release.
So time release. So we know when you put it in your mouth, this matrix falls apart. You generate NO gas, 20 to 30 parts per million. Dilates blood vessels, downregulates receptors, prevents platelets from clotting, decreases inflammation. One of my patents is on a method of reducing inflammation.
Is it fast acting or is it like something you take? And
if we put an ultrasound on your carotid artery, you put the lozenge in your mouth, within 12 to 15 seconds, we can see your blood vessels open up.
But okay, so you see it here, but how far does it travel through your body?
It's immediate.
All the blood vessels?
All the blood vessels.
And how long does that last usually?
I mean, if you're looking at, it's difficult to.
I understand.
Because
I'm not
it's
looking
a gas,
for,
right?
Yeah.
But the objective measure we look at is blood pressure because you can measure blood pressure easily. We put people on a 24-hour ambulatory blood pressure monitor.
Blood pressure goes down, obviously.
Yeah, within 15 or 20 minutes if you have high blood pressure.
Right.
And that'll last for 6, 8, 10 hours and start to come back up. But then that's why we say take one every 12 hours because then it titrates in and it normalizes your blood pressure.
And for your sexual performance?
Sexual performance, too. It's not just about dilating blood vessels. It's creating what we call vascular reactivity. Because you don't want all your blood vessels dilated at the same time.
No, I get it.
That leads to loss of perfusion pressure, and you get end organ damage and death. But the ability to dilate blood vessels upon demand. So if we're stimulated, right, we see a beautiful woman.
Yes.
We want to dilate the blood vessels of the sex organs and get engorgement, and that's called an erection. The same thing happens in women, right? In order for women to have an orgasm, you can have an increase in intralabial, interclitoral pressure. That pressure comes from nitric oxide and increasing blood flow. So if you can't make nitric oxide, you can't dilate the blood vessels of the sex organ. So,
honey, I want you.
That's right. That's a
honey, do me a favor. Just put this under your tongue for 5 minutes.
That's right.
I love it. And it works, right?
Yeah, no, it's amazing technology.
We're developing it. Your wife's happy.
Yeah, so we've had this on the market as dietary supplements for the past many years. We're developing
it's not prescription.
No, but we're working on prescription drug therapy because we want to go through the rigor of safety and efficacy for things like ischemic heart disease. We've got a drug. We've got a drug for Alzheimer's. We make a topical drug for diabetic ulcers, which again comes back to my dad's non-healing wounds. And, he had a 4-year-old non-healing wound on his right butt cheek that became osteonecrotic and osteomyelitis.
I have a friend that had 7 back surgeries in 2 years. And the worst part of this thing is because he was in bed. He had an open sore. And it's been he went into sepsis and he had a million different things. And he told me yesterday that this is my best friend from high school, and it's just now closing up. It's taken almost a year, and nobody could do anything. It was like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, look, 65,000 Americans die in nursing homes every year.
And he was in a hospital, and he's a multimillionaire.
Yeah. I seen my dad because what we would do, we'd take him to the best wound care clinics everywhere I could take him. and nobody could heal that wound. In fact, they said you can heal the wound because number one, he's old, he's diabetic, he's paraplegic.
How does that
He's got a
heal?
non-healing
Even
wound.
my friend's healthy.
So what I did was I refused to accept that.
Right.
So I took Dad under my own care, and I started making a nitric oxide releasing gauze. And I'd do a wet to dry dressing twice a day. I mean, I'd spent months every twice a day driving back and forth to Dad. And when I started delivering nitric oxide in that wound bed,
Right.
I saw that you start to get tissue granulation.
It
You
starts
start
to
see
heal.
blood flow. It starts to heal. And I'm going, wow. I take him back to the wound care docs. They go, what the shit are you doing? We've never seen this before. They go, I'm treating with nitric oxide. And then we got enough growth, tissue growth. We killed the infection in the wound. We got blood flow to the wound. We did stem cells. Once we got enough tissue, I isolated stem cells from Dad.
Wow.
And I injected stem cells in the wound bed, around the wound bed, and we got 80% closure, and then we closed it with a surgical flap. But that was really when, and all the wound care docs go, we don't know what you're doing, but you
Correct.
need to do this. So then you have an obligation. And I developed a topical nitric oxide that we're developing for.
That's a huge product.
It's only a $50 billion a year market.
Only 50?
Yeah.
Not enough.
That's right. And we treat wounds today the same way we did 50 years ago.
It's pathetic.
Negative pressure,
It's pathetic.
wound vac, and hyperbaric.
It's pathetic.
And a little bit of collagenase on the
If
wound.
you could
bed.
create like a nitric oxide gauze pad that people could put on, and
No, we're doing that.
but you have to go through that whole, like
to
you called
get
it,
a-
a rigor.
to get an
it
indication.
so everybody makes it standard because the system is so corrupt.
Yeah,
It's such a corrupt, broken system.
it is.
I have friends, they fly to Germany, they get treated for cancer. The same people that have the same cancer are dying in America because it's not approved.
Look, there's no money in cures.
Really? You know, what a shock.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I think what we're doing is extremely disruptive.
Yeah. You
And,
better
you know,
watch
we-
out for yourself.
no,
They're
we've had
going to
people-
come after
no,
you.
we-
It's
we-
the real mafia. Is
Yeah.
the pharma, big pharma and big insurance.
Yeah, we've had people come after us. We've had people try to take us out.
I get it.
Offer us a lot of money to go away, and I'm not at this stage in my life. You can't buy me.
No, but they can snuff you. There's things they can do. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I mean,
No, I
people
get
got canceled. They closed down your social media accounts. They closed your bank accounts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm witness to some of that. I'm a disruptor. I was a Wall Street disruptor. They put me in prison for 10 years for nothing. They manufactured a crime, manipulated the London Stock Exchange while I was in London with no Americans.
Yeah, what
No
happens? I get it.
Americans. Well, I'm in London. The stock exchange flew over to my trial and said he did not. From what we can see, he's done nothing wrong.
But they were hell bent on stopping you.
He just did, Somebody put the hit on me
Yeah.
because I was very disruptive. They say I got in the way of about $100 billion in trading profits, commissions, and fees because I was the first American to take a regulated American company public in a foreign stock exchange.
Well,
And after I did it, 200 guys followed me for a fraction of the money, fraction of the regulation, twice the liquidity, twice the result, and then you could swing it around and just list the shares in America for bupkis, for nothing.
yeah.
When you get in the way of people's money, Morgan Stanley, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, guess what?
No, I think we're a force now to where we're on the map.
I love it.
And so I'm not going away. I'm not building this company to sell it. I'm building this company to change the world and to bring safe and effective therapeutics to the market. And my goal is to bring nitric oxide products to every major market segment around the world. And it's going to change the world. And it's going to change people's lives. In fact, every day when I wake up, just this morning, dozens, probably 100 texts, phone calls, emails, voicemail.
I can imagine.
You've changed my life.
I can imagine.
Changed my life.
I hope I'm going to be one of those texts soon.
Yeah.
I'm holding out now. We got you on film. I know your whole story now.
That's right.
It's what a privilege it's been. I mean, I want you to know that for body, but when I started doing my homework on you, and I was thinking, it's for so long we had this pre-workout formula. I'm talking for 20 years.
That's right.
You take nitric oxide to get a great pump, and it just makes so much blatant common sense. Why can't you figure out how to do something like that? Because increased blood flow is increased performance,
That's right.
right? Because you want blood to go to places that
Well, it's performance. It's not just sexual performance. It's cognitive performance.
exactly.
It's athletic
performance.
It's
Your
performance
heart, your
across the
organs,
board.
everything works better, right?
Yeah.
I
Gotta
if-
have blood
if-
flow.
You have to have why? Because blood carries oxygen and nutrients, right? peptides, all these good things that everybody's talking about selling.
Yeah. And nitric oxide mobilizes our own stem cells. So then we
I
can
didn't know
repair,
that.
we can repair and replace dysfunctional cells. Years ago it was thought the older we get, the less stem cells we have. Now that's not the case. The problem is we lose the ability to mobilize our own stem cells because that signal is nitric oxide.
And your lungs shrink, your lung capacity shrinks over
That's
time
right.
if you don't exercise, et cetera, right?
That's right.
It's
So
all
I think
about
that's-
it's all about oxygen, right?
It's oxygen delivery to the mitochondria and the function of the mitochondria to convert that oxygen into energy.
and mitochondria creates energy.
That's
So
right.
I've been studying this sort of biohacking space, and I was listening to some doctor, and he said there's only one cause of death: lack of oxygen. Right? That's really every disease.
Well, the inability to convert the oxygen, you can deliver oxygen, but if the mitochondria can't make cellular energy out of it, then the cells have no energy. You lose voltage, and we diagnose death by loss of electrical activity, right? A flat EKG or flat EEG.
Loss of electrical activity. Now, is it oxygen to the brain or to the heart, or what is like?
Well, you have to have the energy producing capacity of every cell,
Right.
right? And then you have to maintain a certain cellular potential,
Okay.
right, across the cell membrane, and that's the inside of the cell is minus 25 millivolts with respect to the outside of the cell. And so if you convert, this gets pretty complicated, but if you convert that to pH, right, it's pH 7.4.
Right.
And so that's pH is really a measure of electrical potential.
I had no idea. I thought it was just acid and base.
Well, it is, but it's based on the potential hydrogen, which is indirectly measuring the electrical potential.
You're very smart. You're very well informed, Doc.
I've had a lot of education.
For a kid that made his own food in high school and worked 2 jobs and all these things is amazing. Anti-aging medicine.
Yep.
That's a big deal today. These are like hot words, big topics. And so everything that you're doing, it comes down to improved performance. When I mean performance, I don't mean sexual, I don't mean physical. I mean the ability to think more clearly, right? Oxygen to the brain, right? Producing energy. So you're in the longevity business, really, but
That's
not
right.
just longevity. You live longer, but you live better, correct?
Yeah, no, that's right. I think longevity is this booming field that I think at the end of the day, we're in the longevity. How do we live longer, healthier lives free of disease?
Right. People don't want to talk about mitochondria and the pH of 7.4. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that I'm learning about this from you today, but it's even a lot for me because I just want to know what I can take, what I can do.
Yeah, what can you do?
To improve myself, practical stuff. That's one of the problems with academics. They get caught up a lot into very important jargon. It's critical, but if you look at your audience typically, you're dealing with a lot of dumb schmucks. I mean it.
Stupid educated people, I call them.
3/4 of the people don't even care that you can help them live a better life and live longer. They want to know what's on, who's going to win American Idol.
That's right.
Who's going to win? Is the OKC Indiana series going to go 7 games or 6 games? Is Arch Manning going to be a great player at University of Texas?
Absolutely.
Or is he going to be a bust? This is what people care about. I hate to
That's
say
right.
it. As an influencer, I'm beginning to learn. And as a speaker, even when I was on Wall Street, I realized I had to appeal to my audience. And my audience was guys that no one makes less than $300,000 a year. Some guys that make $30 million a year.
Yeah.
This is now 1994, 1995. And I realized that this is who I'm talking to. And so I had to adjust my my verbiage, my tone, my body language.
No, I've had to do it too. I mean, writing scientific papers and being in an academic environment, giving talks in grand rounds to scientists and physicians is much different than, connecting with the layperson, having this conversation. So I've had to learn and evolve myself.
I mean, this could be my most advanced podcast intellectually. I just want you to know. I want you to know the truth. You're a spectacular man. I mean, you really are special. And what a mind you have. What a mind you have. I mean, so now I know the answer. It was your DNA. I've been trying to figure out with your past, with your background, with your upbringing, the difficult circumstances that God put in your life. What was it? what was it that helped you overcome that? Was it obviously wasn't your environment? Was it the influence of your parents? Because you didn't have any parents, when you were growing up, and your brother's a millionaire success, right? Self-made. So you guys, there's something in your DNA, and it's tragic what happened to your dad because the odds are he could have been something special. We won't know.
Dad was a go-getter. I mean, he was
right.
He was hungry too.
We just won't know. And I'm guessing your children are probably pretty clever.
My kid, I got great boys. All three of them were good students. Lincoln's top of his class, smart kid, great athletes.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised now that he's at top of your class.
Their star, Lincoln, was all-state football player last year.
In Texas?
In Texas.
That's a big deal, bro.
We don't have big genes. We're not big people.
No, you're not. But you're a beautiful looking man. I mean, you're really well put together.
Go get there. So they're all-state basketball, football, golf. My youngest son's starting to team rope with me now, so we rodeo.
Wow, team rope. You don't. That's a shock to me, because you don't picture this PhD from Massachusetts.
Well, no, I grew up roping
drug discovery guy.
Yeah. No, I rodeoed all through middle school and high school.
You rodeoed?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Then when you get older, you start team roping because it's fun. It's really a joy to me because I took my son to our first jackpot team roping a couple of weeks ago, and he's 13 years old, and to be able to ride down the arena with him heading the steer and me behind him and competing. I mean, that's
I love
the greatest.
What do you think about this testosterone replacement therapy and all that, hormone replacement?
No, I think it's critically important. I mean, you have to optimize your hormones in order for people to perform.
Thank you, Father.
I mean, nitric oxide is a hormone. I discovered that in 2007. So we have to optimize this.
It's a hormone?
It's a hormone.
Is it a molecule like I described?
It's a molecule, yeah. It's one nitrogen, one oxygen. So the older we get, depending upon our diet, our lifestyle, our exposure to environmental toxicants, it disrupts our hormones. And so we have to normalize our hormones. We have to replace critical hormones. And so you have to do it testosterone in men, estrogen in women, pregnenolone, progesterone. I mean, we have to optimize that. Thyroid function.
So you're 100% supportive of it. I mean, you get it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I do routine testing, right? And so I typically try to stimulate it and activate it naturally. But because of the lifestyle that I live, I'm on an airplane every week. I travel 160,000 air miles
a year.
And I'm in, I think last year I spent 220 nights in a hotel.
Did you
all
really?
over the world.
And you're a wealthy guy.
Yeah.
Where you going? If you don't mind me asking.
I go everywhere. I give lectures all over the world.
I love it.
I'm out, trying to inform and educate the world on nitric oxide, why it's important, because what's clear to me is your body cannot and will not heal without nitric oxide. But it's not a panacea. You still have to address other important physiological functions.
I was out for dinner last night with my friend and his daughter, and I said, I have a very important doctor coming in tomorrow. And he goes, yeah, what's important about him? I said, he's like this genius and breakthrough with nitric oxide. He goes, what's that? So I wasn't sure. So I said, it's a molecule, it's a compound. He goes, nitrogen. It's about nitrogen in your blood increasing performance. I hadn't really polished everything up. And he says, I don't know, you put nitrogen in your body? And I was sitting there thinking, it didn't occur to me till we're in the middle of this podcast that if I remember correctly from my chemistry class, the air we breathe is mostly nitrogen.
That's right.
People don't, the average person would never know that.
Yeah.
Nitrogen is almost scary sounding relative. I'm an oxygen guy. But it's really, what is it, NO2 or something like that?
Yeah, NO. One
NO
nitrogen,
is just,
one oxygen.
Yeah, nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide.
We have a lozenge.
We have a lozenge. That was my core technology. But then, as you know, you go to the store, you turn on the TV, and everybody's trying to sell you beets and beetroot.
Yeah.
Right? And so I make a fermented beet powder that actually produces nitric oxide gas, where all these other beet products...
So beetroot is real, though, right? That's a real thing. People
it can be, but unfortunately, most of these companies out there selling you beet products, it's a scam. We call it dead beet. It's a dead beet product.
I love that.
I mean,
dead beet.
There's no nitric oxide in it whatsoever. I've tested probably every beet product on the market.
I'm sure you have.
Because people are looking for it, I feel an obligation, responsibility. If you're looking for beets that generate nitric oxide, then I can do that easily.
I mean, I would love to promote your products if they work for me.
We'll do it. Well,
and I think I'm the perfect guy.
I'm going to send you a goodie bag, and you're going to...
But I don't want you to wait. I need it. I'm ready to go. I got a date Thursday night.
I know a guy. I got
a date Thursday night. My first date, you know.
Right.
I don't know if we're going to get lucky. So, you know, you're a scientist by nature, I guess, and you became a CEO now. But you still lecture and you're still a teacher, and you love that, right?
Yeah.
I see that in you. You light up when you talk about this. You know that, right?
Yeah.
It's like another guy comes out of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a beautiful thing to see, you know, when I meet somebody that loves what they do.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, we've certainly gone, we've survived the lean times.
I get it.
And now
it's about survival. People don't get it.
Yeah.
I survived. You know, I'm still surviving.
Yeah. And, you know, for me now, it's the message is too important not to get out there. So, you know, that's why I appreciate what you do.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. I feel like now you have an obligation. I actually feel that I have an obligation. I have not.
People need to know about this.
I've never promoted one product, just so you know, not one.
Yeah, well, no, good for you. I mean, because you should be cynical. You should be pessimistic and understand.
I'm a Wall Street guy. I don't believe in anything. Everything's a scam. Everything's an illusion. In this whole material world we live in, it's just me and God. Literally, when I close my eyes, it's just me and God. There is no other reality. You walk in a room, I walk in the same room, we open our eyes, we both see two different things.
That's right.
How do you explain that? It's just you and God. It's me and God. But, you know, our illusions have crossed today, and I feel like you're really important. I think your message is really, I think it's critically important.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for coming in today. Is there anything that we haven't touched on? How do people find you? Let's get into this.
Yeah, no, I refer. Well, I got a new book out. It's called The Secret of Nitric Oxide: Bring the Science to Life. And actually, in that book, I chronicle pretty much everything we talked about. My early years, kind of how I grew up, what nitric oxide is, how it was discovered, why a Nobel Prize was awarded, and then kind of chronicles my journey of discovery from, you know, scientist to entrepreneur to founder, chairman, and CEO of what I think is going to be one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world that changes the world. So The Secret of Nitric Oxide, you can find it at nathansbook.com or Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
nathansbook.com?
Yeah.
And you're on Amazon?
On Amazon. And then, my YouTube, we provide scientific information, education on YouTube, Dr. Nathan S. Bryan, Nitric Oxide. I'm on Instagram, Dr. Nathan S. Bryan, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm on
all the platforms.
All the platforms, yeah.
They haven't canceled you yet. They're coming for you. I'm going to say.
No, they have. They've.
I'm
tried
sure.
To
oh, really?
Squeeze me a little bit, but
I think the Trump administration is going to be more supportive. These guys really seem to get it.
No, look, they're very supportive of what we're doing. We've had a relationship with a lot of the people in the administration for many years, and the
Kennedy.
climate is right. The landscape's
is the right guy. I mean, you got finally a serious guy in there.
Yeah.
Look at him. I mean, the Biden administration was a friggin' joke. What a joke. What a disgusting thing.
Yeah, it's awful.
The people they put in there.
Embarrassment.
What else? What have I missed? Anything else we want to discuss?
I think that's it.
It's been a privilege having you here today.
No, Ross, thank you. It's my honor.
Nathan, thank you so much. I'm very appreciative.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll be seeing you soon.
Absolutely. We got a lot of work to do together.
I'm ready.